And let's move it back. Again, I've got to be careful I don't have foliage intersecting our own. So I may just pull it over a little bit and push it back just a little bit. There's a slight overlap, I think, on the urn, but that should be okay. You're not going to notice that. I may just pull it over just a little bit and pull it forward just a little bit. Hey, there we go. I'm just looking at it in relation to the tree on the other side. I want to make sure they stay looking balanced. Alright. Okay, that should be good. Now, I want to actually extend our foliage down onto the pathway here, so what I'm going to do, I think, is I'm just going to go up from an aerial view to make sure the balance on these trees is right. Yeah, I don't like, yeah, I'm not really happy the way that the leaves are sticking through the wall there. So I may just move this tree forward a little bit. That should be good. Again, I'm just pulling back to check everything looks balanced. Alright, so what I want to do is I want to bring the foliage here forward a bit more. So I'm going to jump into my paint tool, my foliage tool. And we're going to start, I think, with we'll start with this long grass. Actually, what I might start with is a couple of these ferns. So I'm going to make sure everything else is deselected. I'm going to make my brush a bit smaller. I'm just going to paint some ferns through here on either side. Okay, now I'm just going to go in and select a couple of the ferns to make them a little bit larger. Just a few here and there. Again, like I said yesterday, guys, it's just makes the grouping look a bit more believable because Unreal has a habit of making everything the same size, even the paint tool. So just make a few of them bigger here and there. We'll just add a bit more interest. On either side. Well, make sure you don't do a non-uniform scale. Okay, let's go back into our paint tool here, and I'm going to go back to that long grass. So that's I always get them confused as to which one's which. I think it's this one. Let's paint some of that in. That's the one. All I'm doing here is bringing that landscape out a little bit more forward. Alright, now I really like the look of the that snakeweed, which is that yellow flowering bush, so I'm going to paint just a couple of those in as well. Just through here. I want to make sure I get some in here behind the tree too. There we go. That just helps to tie the trees into the rest of the landscape. All right. Again, all I'm doing here is checking to make sure everything looks balanced. I think it's okay. Remember, we have our environmental fog on, and again, the fog is maybe a little heavy, and I won't adjust it until after I finish placing everything else in the scene. So our camera is going to start probably around about here. Yeah, probably around about there. We'll start off our camera and we'll fly through the gate up the drive to the pond before we get to the actual building. I'm just going to save everything here so we don't lose what we've done. Alright, let's jump back up to our pond. So let's just set a bookmark here. And jump back up to our pond. So with our hillside here, we want to fill that in, but we don't want to fill it in to cover the horizon line because we want to make sure we keep this nice golden glow. So let's see what we've got to use. Of course, we can use our long grass and our shorter grass and our yellow flowering bushes and a couple of our elderberries here. But I also did have another plant, which is more of a long grass, this one here, which we haven't used yet. So we may use this as well. We'll see what it looks like. If it looks strange, we won't, but we may see. We'll see what it looks like. Just before I do that though, again, I want to clean up my folder structure here, so I'm going to move my materials into my foliage. And I'm going to move the textures back into textures. Okay, there's obviously a text already named that. It's just warning me, so I'll look at that later on. Yeah. Basically because that tree is the same as these trees here, the same species, so I've already got the textures for that in there for these trees. Anyway, let's jump into our foliage editor again, and let's look at this object. I'm just going to turn up all of our yellow bushes. I'm going to pull back on the density just initially until we get it right. We're going to up our radius a little bit. I'm just going to paint a few in just to check what size they are and how it looks. Again, I've got to wait for the shader to recompile because it's a new plant that we haven't used before. good time for coffee. So yeah, like I said, what we're going to do is we're going to keep everything we place on this section of the landscape quite low, so it doesn't go above the horizon line. And it helps to break up our forest as well. Instead of having everything treed like it is here, having this section that's broken up a little bit will just help to add a bit more interest. Now I'm not really fond of the yellow in that tree in this, I don't know, long grass. I just think it's a bit too yellow. So I think what I might do is we'll find out what material that uses. Again, I'm just going to check the texture that plant is using. No, it's not the one. I think it's this one. I just want to try and pull back on some of the yellow, so I just got to try and find the texture that the plant is using. Yeah, it's this one here. It's this part of the leaf. It's just way too yellow for me. So what I think I'll do is I'm going to jump into Photoshop and just alter the color of that a little bit. Again, I just want to check the name of it. Deco building. My weak cluster atlas. Okay. So let's open up Photoshop real quick. I'm going to pull in a bit more green, take out some of the yellow. Give Photoshop a minute here. There we go. Come on, Photoshop. There we go. All right. So now we just have to find that texture. Okay, I think it's this one here. Yep. So I'm going to, I don't want to change the color of the rest of the texture. I only want to change the color of the leaf. So I'm just going to make a selection to copy that part of the texture and do a paste in place. So it'll paste it directly where I want, over the top of the old one. And I'm just going to make a color adjustment, so color balance. Pull in a bit more green. I might just level it as well, just to make it a little bit darker. We'll save it as a PNG. SpeedTree by default uses, I think, target textures, but we'll use PNG here. Let's jump back into Unreal. Jump into our textures. What I can do is actually, if I save it back out as a target file, it's probably easier for me then to re-import it that way. If I save it as a PNG and try and bring it in, then I'm going to have to change the actual materials of the materials as well. So if I just save this as the targa, and overwrite the old file, then all we should have to do is re-import this texture to change the color of our leaves. Again, I just wanted to make them a little bit more green, less yellow, just to better suit the rest of our environment we've got going on here. Alright, now the spacing. We only placed these temporarily to get an idea of what they'd look like and whether we had our spacing correct, so I'm going to just remove them. I do that just by holding down the shift key when I'm in paint mode. And let's play with our density a bit now. I may pull back up on the density a bit. We'll paint in some more to check it. And again, I just want to look at these from a distance to see whether they're going to work. They should be okay. Once we get other grasses and stuff amongst it, it should help to tone it down a bit. We may change the color of the top of them as well to take out a bit of the yellow. In fact, let's just jump into Photoshop quick and have a look. That's this part of the plant. Let's again make a copy and change the color slightly. Yeah, I think I may just take out some of the yellow. I just think it's a bit too yellow. Again, I'm going to level it as well, just to pull it back a little bit. Okay, let's just save our file. Again, we're going to overwrite the old target file. Okay, jump back into Unreal. And just re-import it one more time. Alright. Yeah, I think that might be better. It's just knocked a bit of the yellow out of it. As far as the density goes, I think we might be good. So let's start painting some of these in. Size wise, now I didn't make any adjustment here to the minimum and maximum, and I think I really should. So again, I'm just going to hold down the shift key just to get rid of a few of them. Not all of them, just a few of them. Let's make some adjustments here to our minimum and maximum. Let's go to a minimum of 0.9. We'll go to a maximum of let's go to a maximum of 2. It's a bit better. We're just getting a bit more variation. Again, we want this to look like an open part of our meadow, so we can add a few of these. Just making sure I don't have static meshes turned on because I don't want to paint them over the top of the rocks. Alright. Let's start painting in some of that longer grass now. So I'm going to turn that off and go back to our... I think it's this one. Again, I'm just going to turn off exponential height fog just while I'm doing this to get... so I can see the landscape a bit more easily. Didn't make a huge difference anyway. Alright, I'll leave it on. I'm just going to paint some of this long grass through here now. I'm leaving some ground sections showing just to add a bit of bump to break it up a little bit more. Okay, now let's just add a few of the those flowering yellow bushes, the cattail. Alright. So now we have our hillside here, which is more grass and flowering bushes. Let's just add a few low trees though. Again, not going to try and cover the horizon line too much, so we're going to stick to the elderberry. But I'm not going to do it through the paint tool here, I'm going to do it by hand, because we don't need as many of them. So we'll jump back into our foliage here. And we'll find that elderberry tree. So we have a nice black elderberry, which is like a red colour. They're the same ones we were using over here. These two here. We'll just rotate it around a bit to make it look a little different. Make sure it's sitting down on the landscape itself, not in the landscape. Okay. So let's just start positioning these in an interesting pattern. So I'm going to duplicate this one. I'll move it back in here. Now I am going above the horizon line, but not much, just a little. Let's move one down towards here as well. So I'm just going to duplicate it one more time. Alright, I'm going to rotate it to make sure that we don't see the same silhouette. People will never know it's the same tree then. And let's pull in the green elderberry. I might make this one a little bit bigger. Okay, let's I'm just going to make sure it's not floating above the landscape there. We'll duplicate this one. We might move it back up in here, I think. Again, I'm just going to go to where my camera is, so I want to make sure I don't cover up too much of that horizon line. And let's duplicate this one. Actually, before we duplicate it, let's just rotate it a little bit. Now we can duplicate it. And we're going to move one back here. Pull it down a bit. And rotate it around so you don't know it's the same tree. Alright. So that's just helped to break up our grassy area through here a little bit more. Alright. I may actually throw a dead tree as well in here. So I'm going to grab this dead tree we have, scale it up. Now I've got to decide whether I want it standing up or laying down. I think I want it laying down. So I'm going to rotate it around and make it look like it's fallen over. Give it a bit more of an interesting angle. Let's move it back up into the landscape a bit. Let me actually rotate it around a bit more. That's better. I just want to look, add a bit of interest there to have this dead tree that's fallen over amongst our grasses. Just helps to add a bit more interest. I might just pull it down just a little bit though. There we go. And I'm going to also add one more dead tree, I think, on this side. Up in this corner through here. Again, I'm going to place it by hand. We'll use one of these, maybe this one. Again, let's just scale it up. And I think I'll move it in just a bit more. I'm going to come back here to look at the scene from more of a distance. Just want to make sure it's sitting on the ground as well, not floating in the air. That's better. Just wanted to help fill in that little corner there a bit more. So we have our landscape with tree line through here, we get to our pond and we have this open area with grasses, and then we continue around with our trees all the way around the outside. Alright. Let's make sure we save our file. I'm just going to take a break for a couple of minutes, guys. I want to grab a fresh coffee. This one's gone a bit cold. I'll be back in about 2 minutes time. I'll leave you with my be right back screen, and yeah, so I'll be a couple of minutes, guys, while I grab a fresh coffee. So I will be right back.